Okay, let's get started with arrays. So, arrays, like we have been using it whenever we start learning any programming language, it is very similar to that. The definition of array says that it is a collection of same data type elements. So, what is important over here to note is the same data type. That is, it can be either all numbers. So, this is a collection of all numbers, which is an array, or it can be all strings def, ghi, and so on. So this is the definition of arrays. It is called as a collection of same data type, and this is the integer. So it is a collection of all integers. This is integer, this is integer. So collection of all the integer. So it is an array of an integer. This is a collection of string. So this is an array of a string. So again, to note that it is a collection of same data types. Then if you want to define an array, what is the use of array? In fact, if you want to use 100 different variables, either you can do it as int num1 num1 is equal to 10, int num2 is equal to 15, and something like this, right? If you're doing in a Scala or Spark Scala, then you can just write simply as var and it will take whatever is the data type. So one of the way to define, if you want to you have 100 variables, you can just create the 100 variables manually, right? And instead of defining that 100 variables manually, which can be a troublesome, what you can do is you can simply define an array. You can simply define an array and give it a name as num, and you say that it is of 100 elements. So it will automatically create a collection of 100 numbers. If you are defining it as an integer, it will create a collection of data types which is of type integer for the 100 elements. So what is the use is just to make the program more concise, more meaningful to read, and more easy to program, we define as an array. So what is another option we do? We can do is we can define 100 variables, but the program will become very lengthy, right? So what is the use again to what is the use of an array? Instead of defining an 100 variables separately, which will take your 100 lines, you can just simply define an array uh, by saying that I want an array with a 100 element. So instead of 100 lines of code, you got over here only a single line. Then again, if you want to multiply every element with a 2, you will again have to write 100 lines of code to just multiply over here. But over here, what you can do is you can just simply write for loop that we studied in the previous session. And what we can do is we can just iterate each and every element of an array and multiply by 2. So probably the code line will be again 1 or 2, right? So what is the definition of array? Just let's revise it once. What is the definition of array? It is a collection of
Collection of some data type.
same data type. Okay, same data type is important to note. Uh, this is an array of integer. This is an array of string. What is the use case of defining an array? Instead of defining an 100 variables, if I want to define 100 variables, instead of defining 100 variables over here, I can only define an array with saying that length of an array is 100. That is, inside an array there is a 100 element. Again, if I want to multiply every element by 2 over here, again I have to write 100 lines of code on the left hand side into 100 lines of code. But you can just write a single for loop and you can just iterate through the each and every element of an array, and you can just start multiplying by whatever 2 or something, right? So this is basically what is the definition and why the arrays are used. Now let's see how the arrays are defined in Scala. So in Scala, if you want to define an array, you will have to say that var, right? and I say that my name of the array is num. Okay, so I'm defining the name of the element as num, and I say that it is an array of type integer is equal to new array of type integer. Occurrence is 3, so there are 3 elements inside array. So how you declare an array? Declaration of array. So you declare an array like this where num. So name of an array is num. So this is the name of array. You are declaring an array. It's an array. The type is integer. Data type is integer. So if you want to create like this is a class name, right? So this is a class name, right? So I will say this is the name of the class. You write new because you are creating an object. Creating an object. Array is of type integer again, data type, and this is the length of array. Okay. There is also another way of defining an array. Since you can see that array and int is like kind of a duplicate, you are already specifying on a right hand side. So you also can just skip those part. You can just simply write where num is equal to new array of type integer and 3. Occurrence is 3. Length of an array is 3. So what I mean to say over here in by comparing the above example is it is optional to write over here, right? It is just simply optional to write over here, but sometime you may require to write over here, which we will see in the example. So this is how you declare an array. The declaration of array is var, that is it's a variable. V is a small v. Uh, v is a small v, not a big V. So var num array of data type integer. This I is capital. In Scala, everything it's a capital. It's not a primitive data type, it's a object oriented language. So always remember int, char, whatever it starts with capital as compared to Java. Var num array int and is equal to new array of type integer, and the length of an array is 3. Similarly, it is not mandatory to define over here. Sometime you may need to define it over here, but it's not mandatory. So if you just simply remove it in the next line, you can also define as a where num is equal to new array int of the data type integer. So it will have all the integer values inside it, and the length of an array is 3. I will say that either you can define as above or you can define it like this, right? This is how you declare an array, and let's go ahead. After declaring an array, if I want to store something in an array, so I declared an array of type num, right? If I want to store something in an array, let's say num, I want to store something. The index starts from 0 always. So I want to store at 0th index as 25. I want to store first index as 35 and second index as let's say 50. So this is how you can assign some value to an array. Num of 0 is equal to 25. At 0th element you are putting 25, first element you are putting 35, the second element you are putting a 50. Okay, and there is another way of doing it. Instead of how we did over here was we said where num is equal to new array of type integer of type of the length 3. right? And we said that at 0th element I want to put 25, first element we want to put 35, second element we want to put 50. Instead of doing it this way, you can also do it as where num is equal to array. Okay, again new is optional, you can also put new again. Array, let's say 25, 35, 50, right? So let's do a practical over here and see. So these are the two ways you can define. Let's start a command line and let's do a Scala. We'll start with a declaration of an array. So as we saw above, right, what we need to write is where num, which is of type array, array of integers is equal to new array of type integer again and 3, occurrence is 3. So it created a new array. The name of an array is num array int, and it initialized, since it is an integer, it initialized it with zeros. As I said that there is no need to write this part, whatever I have highlighted, because that is a redundant part. So we can also remove it and create an array, so it does the same thing. So writing this part is an optional. Even if you don't write, it's totally fine. So we have done this. Now after defining an array, if I want to put an element in this array, what we are doing is num of 0 is equal to 25. I'm putting at 0th element as 25, the first element as 35, the second element as 50, and if I want to see the elements in an array, so it is having as 25, 35 and 50, right? So similarly, if I want to access the first element, I can just say that what is the element in first. So you can say that what is the contents in the first index. So this is the index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2. Index 1 is having 35, so it shows as 35, right? So this is how you declare an array. You have declared an array. There are two ways by which you can declare an array. This is how you assign some value to an array. This is how you access some element out of an array. Also, let's say you want to define an array directly, you can also define it directly without doing a new, right? That's shown over here. So if you see over here, what we have done it, you can do is where num is equal to array of simply 56, 58, 59, whatever, right? And I can see that num, right? So it created an array of 3 elements. I did not say it is an integer, right? I did not say it is an integer, because you are putting an integer value, it automatically took it as an integer, right? Had it been some value as a with decimal, it will have to taken automatically as a double, right? So though I gave it 56 and 58, it takes as 56.0, 58.0 and 59.5, because it is a collection of a same data type, right? If I want to put some more values, it can also be done. So you can also put more values over here like this, right? So it is a collection of an uh, double data type. There are 4 elements present, so it's a 4, right? So any queries so far? Anyone? Any queries in defining an array, accessing the element of an array?
So in array, it can be mutable as well as immutable, right? We can use well instead of where.
Yes. So let's. In fact, the arrays itself are immutable, right? You cannot change the contents. Meaning, not the contents. You cannot change the length of an array. Okay. So when you define an array, you cannot change the length of an array once you have defined it. Over here, let's say we define it as a val, right? And let's try to change the contents of it. Num of 1 is equal to 22. So it still allows you to change. It still allows you to change. So the contents can still be changed even if you define a val, but you cannot change the length. Once you have defined the length of an array is fixed. So if you have defined it as a, currently we did not give a length, we said that it's a fourth element, so we can have only fourth element in an array. You cannot add more elements or you cannot append more elements, but yeah, you can change the contents of an array. Any other questions? Okay, any doubts so far?
No worries.
Okay, great. So one thing that you will notice over here is when you define an array in Java, in case of Java, you define an array by a square bracket, right? Whenever you, let's say you want to access an element of an array, for this you will access it as num of 0 or whatever, right? In Java, you define it as a square bracket. And in Scala, you define it as a, when while you are accessing the element of an array, right? You are accessing some element of an array, or when you're defining the length of an array, you give it as a circular bracket, right? So this is the one thing that you need to um, remember, okay? And it's also good if you understand the reason behind it, so that if there is a some interviewer who want to trouble you, so it's circular bracket because in Scala everything is, it's a object oriented programming, and everything it does is implemented as functions or methods, right? And for functions you always pass a parameter in a circular bracket, right? So since in Scala you can say that it's a pure object oriented programming wherein everything is implemented as a function or a method, so it is always having a circular bracket when you want to access a particular element of an array. So it's always a circular bracket, or you want to specify a length, it's always a circular bracket. So there's one thing you need to remember. Okay, let's go ahead and let's try to create some more arrays and try to do some practicals on it. Okay, so let's say we want to define an array. uh, Over here the array that we defined, we are saying that we want to create an array. The name of an array is num. It is a new we are creating, and it is a type array. Data type is integer, and the length is 3. So I'm creating an array of 3 length, right? Similarly, if I want to create, instead of saying an integer, we can also create an array of string. So it will say that null null null, so it is an array of a string, right? So you are creating an array of a string instead of saying array of an integer. Similarly, you can change it with double if you want, with decimal. So you can create an array of an all the decimal values by specifying you want to create an array of length 3 with a double, right? Then let's say you, instead of double, you want to have any data type, right? So you can have also of any. So once you say it's any, then means you can store anything inside it. So you can also have a data type as any. So you're creating an array instead of integer string double, you are creating with a data type as any, right? So this is how you declare an array. Instead of declaring it like this, you can directly also declare an array in Scala as where num is equal to array and just specify the elements that you want to put. So over here we are defining an array, and I did not do any declaration separately. Directly we declared an array and also assigned some value to the array. So you can say that where num, so it is a num is the name of an array. It is an array because we are writing array, and since we have given all the data types as integer, it automatically understands or it auto interprets the data type as integer, right? It auto interprets the data type as integer. Okay, let's say I want to see the contents for this num. I can also say that num of 1, right? So you can also refer to it. You can just simply say num of 1 so that it also gives the result over here. So this is how you can access the contents of an array. Okay, if I give the value as 4, what will be the output over here? What will be the output if you give a 4 over here?
18.
Okay, great. And if you give as a 5, then what will be the output?
Uh, Error, I think.
Error. Okay. Any idea what will be the error?
Uh, Null element or something.
Okay. So this is an index, right? Index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should give some error with index, right? So it will say that index out of bound,
Array index out of bound. Yeah.
right? So something like that. So it says that array index out of bound exception, right? You're trying to access the fifth element. So it's array index out of bound exception. So this is how you basically define an array, right? Let us go ahead and play more on arrays. Playing more on arrays in command line will be more difficult to write loops and all those things. So instead of doing on a command line, let's go to prompt. Let's start IntelliJ. Let's do it on IDE. Okay. So IntelliJ is started, and click on create new project. Then Scala SBT. Then next. Let's give a name to it as arrays demo. Then just close it, wait for it to complete. Out of date ODE version, IDE version. Okay, it's still SBD is still loading. Let's wait for some time. Okay, it's loaded. Let's go over here. So what is the steps? Go over here, source, main, Scala, and create on. Right click, go to new, and I will just create a file first, and I will just give the name as practiced on REPL, right? So you can practice this contents on a command line, right? So I'm just writing over here. So uh, this code I will just copy over here, whatever we practice, so that you can use it for practicing. So I've just copied over here so that you can refer over here and you can get all the code over here. And let me save it, and let's close it. Not required. Okay. If I want to make a new Scala, then right click new. If you cannot see Scala, then what to do?
We need to add the framework.
Okay, then right click, add framework support, Scala, and okay, and right click and write new Scala class, select it as an object, say it as demo a arrays. Okay, so it's demo a arrays. I've given it the name as a demo a so that it is there in the ascending order. And let's start writing the program. It's a small program just to play with arrays, how you can modify the contents of an arrays, right? So if you start with the main program, we'll say, right, okay, so the main program is then just to check whether everything is fine, you can just say println hello, hello world. Right click over here, just right click, then click on this run demo arrays, and the hello world should be printed. That means the Scala program is executing properly. Okay, then after this, hello world is printed. That means it is getting executed properly. And let's try to play with some programs, something with arrays. Okay, so what I do is I say var, and I'm defining an array with the name as marks, and we say that it is an array, and it is having some marks inside it. Let's say someone got 58, someone got 36, someone got 98, someone got 18, someone got 56, 45, 95, 37, 76, 82, 19, 02, 100. Okay, so this is the marks that people got in an exam. So we have defined an array, and this is the marks, right? And if you see over here, what is the data type for this marks? It is an array of what data type?
Integer.
Integer, right? Okay, great. If you want to print all the marks, what we can do is we can just write a for loop, and we say that for each marks in marks, right? So for every mark present in marks, so it is going to iterate through this entire element, and it is going to take each element into this mark. And what I will say is print mark, right? And instead of doing a print, let's do a println so that it prints on a new line. Println mark. So what it will do is once you execute this, it will print a hello world. You have defined an array of type integer. For each element in this marks, you have to remember this notation. For each element in marks, you're taking into a mark, right? You can take anything. You can give it as a name as X also, right? No harm. So I will keep it as mark. So just to make it's a good way of writing, right? It's a correction. So you write a plural form, and once you write mark, it means it is a singular form of it, right? So what I'm doing is I'm iterating through each of an element, and that is this is a plural form. So it is having all the elements in this array, and you're taking inside a mark, and you're just running it. Name can be anything, so you can just write X or whatever. And if I do run it, then it is going to print all the marks one by one. Okay, so it is printing all the marks one by one. You see hello world, then from 58 until 100, it is printing all the marks one by one. So this is how you can access uh, each and every element of an array. So what I'm saying that accessing each elements of an array marks, right? Let's say I want to find an average marks. What is the average marks of all the students? So if I want to find average marks for all the students, what I will do is I will take a sum of it, and once I have the sum of it, uh, I will divide it by the total number of marks we have, or the length of an array, right? So let's see how we can do it. So since I want a total, so what I will say is val of total marks is 0. Okay, not val, it should be var because we are going to reassign something, and where average marks is also equal to 0, right? So I will say total marks is 0 and average marks is 0. Then I will iterate through each and every element of the array, right? So I can copy this piece of code, and I will say for each mark in marks, I'm going to add total marks. Total marks is equal to total marks plus mark, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just adding simply each and every mark into the total marks. So it is going to iterate through each and every element of this array. We'll take the contents in mark, and it is going to add this mark to a total marks and store it in a total marks, right? So that's how you write. And since you want to take the average of it, what you can do is average marks is equal to total marks, and you want to divide by how many are the elements inside the array. So to access the elements inside an array, you can what is the count? You can say that marks dot. So after marks dot, you want to find what is the length of an array. So you can say that length of an array, right? So what it will do is it will apply the length function on it and find the average marks. and we'll just print something. Println average marks is, and I will say plus average marks, right? So average marks is plus average marks, and we'll run it. So it says that average marks is 55. So this is how you can find the average marks. The average of all these marks is 55. So you took total marks as 0, average marks as 0. You added everything into a total marks, and you finally found divided by length of the an array, and you said that it's average of all the marks. Average marks is 55. Okay. Instead of having it this way, instead of saying for each mark in this, you can also define it as instead of defining it for every mark in marks, which is a very good way of defining. You can also do in a Java way, right? So in a Java way, you say that for, similar to Java, right? For I from 0 to, from 0 to length of an array minus 1, right? Length of an array minus 1. So you can say from 0 until length of array minus 1, and instead of referring mark, we can do it as a marks, and I will say that marks of I, right? So what we are saying that from I, so start the value of I from 0 and go till marks of length minus 1. So if the length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the length is 13. It says that go till 12 only, right? It only says that go till 12. It only says that go till 12. It doesn't say that uh, go till 13, right? Because the index always starts from 0, right? So the length is 13, but this last element is at 12 because it starts from 0. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, index 11, index number 12. So the length of array is 13. If you count, there are 13 elements, but the index always starts from 0. So this is the 12th element. So just remember, you have to put as 0 to 12, right? So to get 12, either you can hard code it as 12, or the better way is marks.length minus 1. And you go through it, and for each of the iteration, you just take the element at 0th index, then you take the index at 1, 2, and start adding into a total marks and just run it, right? So we have already seen how to debug it. If you want to understand more, you can just simply put a breakpoint over here. We are running it. Let's see the output first, then we'll see how to debug. So you are getting the same output, right? And if you want to debug it, just put a breakpoint over here. You understand the program more better when you debug the program. So just right click and debug it. And just try to execute it one by one. So it says total marks is 0, average marks is 0. So the length is how much? It's gone out of it. It should be 12, right? So let me put again over here breakpoint. Right click on it and click on debug. So it comes inside it. Then total marks, the I value is now 1. Previously it was 0. So 0, the total marks became 58 because it took a 58 and added over here. Now it has come for 1. So it is going to add 36 to it. So 58 plus 36 is 94. Now it is going to add 98 to it. So 94 plus 98 is 192. Then again add 18 to it is 210, right? So this is how you can just debug a program, right? Any doubts so far how to access the elements of an array, how to write a for loop on an array? Any doubts so far?
No worries.
Okay, okay, let's go ahead.
Harish, can you explain this example? I mean the debug part one more time.
Okay, so we are just putting some breakpoint, right? Let's do it from the top. The first breakpoint is over here only. Just right click over here, put a debug, right click and select the debug. You can also select from there. You can also right click here and select a debug. You can also click on this bug. So if you want to do it, so it starts over here, right? To go a step by step, you can either press F7 or you can just click over here. So if I first time it does is it just prints hello world. It comes over here. Now the array is defined for marks, right? So this is the array, right? So these are the elements inside this, and arrays of the type integer, right? And there were 13 elements in an array. So there are 13 elements in this array. Then for each of the element, it goes over here and puts prints a mark. I did not put a breakpoint, so it did not stop over here. Then it did total marks as 0, average marks as 0. Then I am saying that for I between 0 to marks length dot 1 minus 1, right? So we want to do till one element less, right? So the length is 13, right? You know that there are total 13 elements, but the index starts from 0 and index goes till 12. So you have to do into length minus 1, right? Because if you just write from 0 to 13, it will say that 13th index doesn't exist and it will say that array out of bound, right? And we are starting with the 0th index. We are going to add the contents into the total marks, and we are going on adding these things one by one. So it goes from I 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and it just goes on adding this total marks to it. So it starts from 58, adds 36, adds 98, and adds everything together, right? Because everything we are adding in a total marks. And once we get the total marks, finally what we do is we divide it by its length, right? So the length is 13 for an array, and the total marks was 722. 722 divided by 13 becomes a 55. Okay, so 722 divided by 13 is 55, and we finally print that average marks is 55, right? So this is how you can debug, right, and see what's happening inside a program. So is it clear? Any doubts so far?
No worries, it is clear.
Okay, great. Okay. Let's take a break of 5 minutes, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yes, Harish.
Let's get started from where we left. Okay. Okay. So there are once we saw this for loop and while loop and all those things that we studied before, while we were studying the loops and conditional statement. So all those things can be used over here. We have used for loop, which is most extensively used, but you can also use while loop and do while and do all these things what we are doing over here. But that's not extensively used. It's for loop that is used more. Also, there are two more things that is extensively used, right? That is map and for each, right? So these are the two things that are very extensively used, map and for each, while you are working with an array, or when we go to study more collections, even different types of collections in the next sessions. So map and for each are the things that are very extensively used, right? So let's see how we can use this map and for each over here. So let's say this is the array that we were already having, right? Var marks, right? So let's define this, or maybe let's start another program to do over there so that it's easy to follow. Let's go and click new and Scala class, change it to an object and give it a name as demo b array. So we are still working on arrays. Let's say we are having a main program, right? A main function inside which we are going to write inside which we are going to write whatever we are doing, right? So let me copy this array from here and let's define the same array over here. So you're defining an array, and let's say I want to print each and every contents of an array, right? For each and map, right? So we are studying this for each and map. Let's say if I want to print every content of this array, what I can do is I can just write the code something like this, and what it will do is it will read each and every element from this marks and it will print it over here, right? I've written a wrong spelling. It should be demo b frmo. Okay, this is how you print each and every element of this array marks by writing a for loop, right? So instead of writing a for loop, there is also a simple way of doing that, right? The simple way of doing is you can simply write something called as a for each, right? So what this for each will do is it will iterate for each and any element of an array, right? So you can use a for each and it will iterate on each and every element of that array. So my array was a marks. So I say that marks dot for each, right? So what it will do is for each and every element of this array marks, it is going to iterate through it, and it is going to do something to each and every element of an array, right? So what I will do is for each element of an array, just I will say that println, right? So what I will say is I am saying that print something for each and every element of an array. So what it will do is what you have done over here, it's the same thing. It's a very big or a 3-line code or 2-line code, and over here it's just a single line code, right? So I just right click and run it. So if you see over here, it was the first one from because of the for loop, and the same thing you can do in way relatively less line of a code by using a for each statement. So this what this for each does is for each will execute the same thing for each and every element of an array, right? And similarly, we also wrote a program over here, right, to find the total marks. We also wrote a program over here for writing a total marks in the previous example, right? So instead of so I will say this is a option number one using for loop, and I will say this is my option number two using for each. So the difference is very clear, right? You have to write a relatively very less line of code, right? If you want to print all the elements in an array, right? So I'm saying to print all the elements of an array using option one, that is for loop, and option 2, that is for each, right? So this is how you can do the same part what you are doing over here, but you are writing very less lines of code. Is it clear? Any doubts in this? Any doubts?
Harish, I am referring this for each with the pig script. Is it the same what we write in pig? I mean the logic.
You are referring to pig, right?
Yes.
The what it does is the same, right? It is doing the same thing. There also it iterates through each and every element and does the same processing.
Right.
It
It does in columns.
right. It's just that there is a column and here is an array, right? Okay. Any other queries?
No, Harish.
So basically, all these things are same, right? It's just a different syntax and different programming language. The for each works similarly in Python as well. So it's the same thing. So again, like in the previous example, right? Find the average marks, right? Find the average marks, right? So if you see this example, using, I will say, using option 1 for loop and option 2 for each. So I'm just saying that whatever you are doing using a for loop, right, you can do it with a for each also, right? And it does the same thing only, right? It does the same thing. So this is the same thing what we had done, and I will say that again I will say that it is option 1, option number 1, and I will say that using for loop, and I will say over here that it's option number 2, and it's using for each loop, right? It's using for each loop. So you can do it with for loop and you can do it with for each also. For each, let's see how we can do it in a quick way. So marks dot for each, right? So marks dot for each. So for each element in the marks you want to do something, right? So what I will say that inside a marks, let's say there is a mark, right? And you say that for each mark in marks, make total marks is equal to total marks plus mark, right? So we'll try to understand what it means. Let me make total marks equal to 0 over here before we start, and let me make it as average marks is equal to total marks divide by marks dot length, right? So marks dot length, and let me print everything over here, the same thing what we did above. Okay, so let's try to understand the total marks initialization to 0 was over here also and over here also. So no need to explain. If I'm adding something inside a total marks, obviously I have to initialize it with 0, else it would have taken a previous garbage value. This is also the same, right? Average marks is equal to total marks divided by length. Average marks is equal to total marks divided by length. I'm defining a var over here because it is the first time. The second time, so I'm not defining a var. And I'm fine. This is again the same. I'm just printing that average marks is this and average marks is this, right? So what is the thing that I need to understand is over here, there was a for loop, and over here there is a for each. So this is the difference, right? There was a for loop and there is a for each, and this is how it's different for loop, for and for each. Let's try to understand what it does is for each, as the name suggests, it is going to do some operation on each and every element of an array, right? It is going to do an operation on each and every element of an array. And if I see this, I am applying it to a marks. So for each element of a marks, for each element of marks, it is going to do something. Marks for each. So for each, it is said that mark. Okay, so I'm doing something with mark, that is taking each and every marks inside mark, right? You can also give it as a name x, and you can also give it as a name x. So this is basically each and every element inside marks, right? So it is written on the left hand side mark. I will not write marks, it's mark. So I'm saying that for each and every element of marks, I put it in a mark, right? So mark will first have the value as 58, right? Then for the second iteration, mark will have a value as 36. Then it will have a value as 98. So it says that for each mark, okay, transform it to, you can see that greater equal to an arrow. Total marks is equal to total marks plus mark. So for each mark, total marks is equal to total marks plus mark, right? So it is basically adding it everything over there, right? So is it clear? Any doubts in this? If I run
No
it,
Rishi.
it will give the same answer. Okay. Any doubts so far?
No Rishi.
Okay. So this is a very simple way of writing, right? So there is no doubt, right? Uh, uh, let's try to execute first, and we'll make it more shorthand notations. So both are giving the same output, right? Means both are doing the same thing. Now, what is the difference over here is there was a big code, a three-liner code, and over here it is a single liner code, right? Instead of writing a three lines of code, you are just writing a single line of code. And Scala is so good that you can even make it small. And can I do it like this, plus equal to marks? Can you see this? So it does the same thing. It says the same thing for each mark. Total marks plus equal to mark. Plus equal to mark is nothing but this only, right? Plus equal to means this only. You can replace the plus equal to by this thing, equal to total marks plus, right? So instead of doing that, you can also write it as a plus equal to. Is it clear? Is it clear? You
Yes.
can also
Yes.
write plus equal to instead of this, right? Any doubts? So in this,
No Rishi.
okay. So this you could have done in Java also, right? You could have done the same thing in Java as well. So you can also do this, right? So it will give again the same output. I have commented the previous line. You can do it this way, okay? And there is one more way of doing it. You can also do in the next way. And the next way is like this. And just replace this part, remove this mark, and just put it, because mark is common, right? It can be anything. It can be mark, it can be xyz, it can be x. Just remove both the places mark, and just replace it with a shorthand notation called as underscore, right? So this is called as a shorthand notation. So we are just modifying it more. And what I did in compared to the previous example, I even removed it mark, and I even removed it mark, and that's why the code becomes even more small, right? And if I run it again, so it will still run, right? So it gives the same thing, right? So what I've done is basically I've removed mark from both the side. I've removed this arrows and equal to sign, and just replace it with underscore, right? So you can also do it this way, or you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. So this is where if a person doesn't know a programming language and directly starts to go to work, he will just get in trouble, right? He won't understand reading such kind of codes. So any doubts over here? Any
No Rishi.
doubts? No? Right. Okay. So let's go ahead, and this was about for each. Okay. So let's go ahead. So what was the conclusion on for and for each? What is the difference between both of them? How does a for each is better in terms as compared to for?
In for each I write less number of.
Less lines of code, right? And can do that, right? Similar to for each, there is something called as a map, right? So there is something called as a map, which is somewhat similar to for each, but there is one difference, right? So in for each, what we did is, if you try to understand this line of code, what you did is you iterated through all the marks, right? You iterated through all the marks, and you tried to find the total number of marks. You tried to add all the marks to get total marks. That is, you were getting each and every element of an array, adding it, and finally getting only one output, right? So there was only a single output. However, if you want a multiple output, you could also do that, right? In case of the above example, you are getting a multiple output. You are printing each and every element, right? So in case of for each, you can get multiple outputs. Example marks dot for each println will give you multiple output, right? And as well as for each you can also sum, or you can also get one final output as well. You can also get one final output, right? Example is Your example is this one. So what you did over here was, instead of writing this one, I write this one. It's more easy to understand. So for this, we took the final output as this, right? And this will give you total marks, right? It will give you a total marks. It will give you total marks. So this is the two things, right? Either you can do a for each, or you can do it this way. So there are two ways. The first way is giving you the multiple outputs, and this is giving you only a single output. But in case of map, you will always get back some multiple outputs, right? You will always get a multiple output. In case of map, you will always get multiple output. You cannot do a summation, you cannot find the total of it. You will always get a multiple output. Example of it is, let's try to do this marks. So this is my array marks, and I say that map, right? And I say for each mark, let's say I want to give some extra marks to everyone. Let's say I want to give 10 extra marks, because assuming that people couldn't study well because of COVID, right? So what I'm doing over here is uh, new marks. Okay, new marks is equal to marks, and I say that where new marks is equal to marks dot map, mark become mark plus 10, right? Is there any issue with this marks? Why it is saying red? So what's wrong with this marks? Cannot resolve the symbol marks. Why it cannot resolve the symbol marks? Should be able to resolve the symbol marks. So marks for each mark, then mark becomes mark plus 10. But it's not able to resolve it. Let's try to print it. New marks dot for each println. Okay. So why it is not able to resolve? Let's try to run it and see. Oh, okay. Any answers why it is not able to resolve? Any answers to this? Anyone? Why it is saying not found value marks? Why it is not able to find marks? Any reason why it is not able to find marks? You can look into this program. We did the similar mistake before also.
Is it out of the scope?
Yeah, it is out of the main, right? So let me take it up. So, okay, so now it is working, right? What will this map do is it will return multiple output. So in the previous example, you are taking a sum out of it and you are putting into a new marks, right? But what you are doing over here is instead of doing that, you are just using a map function, and map mark is becoming mark plus 10. So marks is equal to map mark becomes mark plus 10, right? So new marks is equal to for each println. So what it will do is it will take each and every element over here, it will take each and every element over here, and it is going to add 10 to each element, and it will print that, right? Let us run it. So the marks was 58 and last was 100, right? So 100 will become 110. But anyhow, we are just trying to say that it works for each and every element. And we are just adding the 10 marks to each and every element, right? So you can see that the marks are added, right? The last element was 100. It became 110, right? So that means that it did some operation on each and every element and it gave it as a 10 marks each, right? Okay, let's say if you want to write the same piece of code using a shorthand notation, using a underscore, you can see you wrote underscore over here, right? So you replaced wherever was a mark and you just brought in an underscore over here because the mark was underscore was mark was over here. You replace this mark with an underscore, right? So what can I do? Can I also replace the mark with underscore? Can you just suggest how it will look? How it should look according to you? If I want to replace with a shortened notation like we did for here, if you see over here in this example, you replace this mark with a underscore over here, right? So over here also you can see this mark, right? So if I want to replace with underscore, how will it look like? How will it look like if I want to replace with underscore?
Underscore plus 10.
Underscore plus 10, right? So as you said, right, it should be underscore plus 10. So let's run it. Run. Right. Okay, so you can also do by underscore plus 10 and you say that you are already seeing that 110 became 100 became 110, right? So you can also use this called as a shorthand notation. So when you do a lot of coding, once we study more of functional programming, after this we have to study collection, then we have to go to functional programming in Scala. So you will see everywhere that the code is underscore, and when you actually till now Scala is easy. You may find that you know it, but once you start seeing underscores and all, it will be consuming confusing. So yeah, this is something to note and understand, that you can also use a shorthand notation, right? So again, just comparing this for each and map, uh, what is the difference that you see between for each and map? What is the difference? So that, let's say this is an interview question, what is the difference between for each and map? Then what will be your answer?
So in for each, like we can use instead of for, and for each will help us reducing the number of lines of code.
Yeah. So the question is not between for and for each. So that you are saying between for and for each. I'm asking what is the difference between for each and map?
In map, we can use the shorthand notations.
For each also you use the shortened notation, right? You can see over here. What is the difference between for each and map?
For each, we use uh, functions for each array element, right?
Right. Yeah.
And here we create or create the new array or something. Create the new array.
Creating a new array can be also done by for each, or for also by for each also. You can do by that also, right? But you're somewhere near, right? So I'll show you how you can create an array over there also. But if someone asks you, right, what is the difference between for each and map? So for each you can get the multiple outputs, right? For example, you got the multiple outputs over here. For each, you can also get a single consolidated output. You could also get a total marks. You added everything together and you could also get a total marks, right? So for each can also give you a separate output. For each can also give you a consolidated output, right? So it can do both the things. But if you see this map will always give you a multiple output, or it will always give you a multiple output, right? For each can give you a multiple output. For each can also sum up all the numbers and give you a single output like total marks. But this map will always give you a multiple output, right? So for each can be multiple as well as single, how you want to use, but map will be always multiple, right? So what is better, for each or map?
For each.
For each is better because it can do both the things, right? Then why the map is there? Any guesses? If for each is better, for each can do both the things, then why I need a map? For each can do everything, then why you need a map? You're saying that for each can do this as well as that. You can all it can do a multiple outputs also. It can do a single output also. Then why you need a map? Any guesses? Okay. So you still need a map because you are using a map when you want to do a same operation on each and every element of an array, right? What is the operation you are doing on each and every element of an array over here? What is the operation that you are doing on each and every element of an array? Plus 10, right?
Plus 10
Okay. So
underscore plus.
yeah, so you're doing a plus 10, right? You're adding each and every element. You're doing a same kind of operation, right? So you have to think beyond how the for each works internally. For each goes to the first element, will add 10, will go out. Then we'll go to the second element, again add 10, again go to third element, add 10, go to fourth element, add 10, go to fifth element, add 10, go to sixth element, add 10, and it will take hell lot of time. And how does a map work is, map knows I have to operate, map is made for that purpose only, to operate on each and every element of an array. So it wants to add 10. You have multiple cores, big RAM, and so you can add or 10 to all the numbers together, right? So map and for each can do the same thing, but map can only do for multiple elements. For each can be for both, but map is really very fast, right? Map is very fast. Reason being, map already know I want to do something to each and every element, so I can do in parallel. I can do in parallel. So since map can do everything in parallel, map is fast, right? So who is better, for each or map?
So when we need a multiple, we can use map, but for individual, I mean single, we
Yeah, right,
anyhow have to use for
right,
each. So
right.
both have their own
Both have
properties.
their own pros and cons, right? So to summarize, if you want to do, if you want to do same operation on each element of an array, use map. Note, you can also do, you can also do with for each, with for each slash for loop, but it will be slow, right? So this is the, if you want to do the same operation on an array, use map. Note, you can also use for each, but it will be slow. And if you want to take some or get single output, example total marks, use for each, right? Okay, so for that purpose you can use for each. There are other options also like reduce left, reduce right, and so on, that we'll see tomorrow. But for such purposes you can use a for each, right? So is the difference between for each and map clear? If someone who is really working on Scala, then they can ask you such questions, right? So that's how it goes. And there was another question, right? For each can also give you a it, like it was creating a new array, right? You were adding the plus 10, right? You can also do this with for each also, right? You can also do it this with for each also, right? So I just say that I'm just overwriting this new marks again, and I'm saying that whatever you did over here with map, right? I'm saying that you can also do it with for loop. You can also do it with for each, right? So what I can do is for each. Let's try to do it with for each. Okay, long time not done this with for each. Uh, so it will say that for each and every element of mark, uh, mark becomes mark plus 10. Okay, for each mark becomes mark plus 10. Okay, so I am saying that for each and every element of mark, mark is become mark plus 10, then it will be not happy. So I will say that for each and element, every element of mark, it will become mark plus 10. I can say that new mark is equal to mark plus 10, right? So it says that new mark is not found. I can say become a where new mark is equal to 0, right? So I say that, and how can we do that? Okay, let's try this way. Yield for each, use a yield and mark plus 10. Let's try to execute if it works. So marks dot for each mark. How can we do this? Let's try to Google it out. So open Google. Google knows everything. For each with yield in Scala, right? For each with yield in Scala. So I hope we can find it. Oh, this one is good. This one, Stack Overflow, is always useful. So always read lot and lot of Stack Overflow, right? So what it is doing is val result for this. It is doing in this way. It is using for, right? You can also do for each. Should be for each also. For each. Okay. So this is the syntax, right? It's very difficult to remember all this. So it says that result is equal to for each mark in marks and a result yield mark, right? And just try to run it. So instead of printing the result, let's try to use println and result dot this, right, and run. Okay, so you got this finally, right? So meaning what I wanted to say is, okay, this is also an array that we created, right? So this is also by adding the 10 marks, right? So even the for each, even the for loop can be used along with yield to return you an array, right? So you are using a for with a yield to return you an array, similar to what it also return you an array over here, right? Using a map. So map will always return you an array, right? Map will always return you an array. If you want for also to return you an array, you have to use an yield, right? So I will just say, I will write a note over here. And I will say that note, if you want for loop to return you an array, you can use yield with it, right? So you can use a yield with it. But practically, if you see, I will never do this. Practically, I will never do this. I will never write for and yield, right? It's again a headache for me. I don't even remember the syntax for this because we already have this map over here, right? So I can do the same thing with the map, right? And which is map is relatively very fast as compared to for, right? So since map is very fast as compared to for, uh, I will never use this way of doing it. So there is also an option that is available. I'm just showing you because you asked that the map will return you an array. The for can also return you an array, but you have to use the yield with it. But it is not a fast way of doing it, is very slow way of doing, right? So any questions so far? Any questions in this? Hello.
So we can refer the yield as a keyword, right?
Yeah, yield is a function.
Function. Okay.
Everything is a function. Everything is a method. So everything is a method. Yeah. Any other question? Even the break is also not a keyword. Break is also a method. Everything is a
Method.
method in Scala. Yes. Any other questions in this?
No worries. No worries.
Okay, great. So we'll end for today, and tomorrow we'll continue with more functions like for each and map we studied. We'll learn more methods that we can apply on array, and we'll also see something on multi-dimension array, and I'll also see something on a mutable array or the array wherein we can see change the length of an array, right? So these are the next three things that we'll see in next class. That's it for today. Thank you.